The old ship creaked as it moved through space. HSS Victory wasn't pretty anymore. Its hull showed marks from 30 years of service. But like an old soldier, it kept doing its duty, patrolling the outer edges of human space where newer ships didn't bother to go. Captain James Miller walked through the dimly lit corridors, his boots making familiar sounds on the metal floor. At 58, he was as old as his ship, and this was meant to be their last patrol together before retirement. His gray hair and weathered face told stories of countless missions, both successful and failed. "Captain, routine scan complete," the ship's AI announced. The crew called it Old Faithful, and like the ship itself, the AI had grown unique over the decades. While newer AIs were smooth and perfect, Old Faithful had developed quirks and habits that made it more human-like. "Thanks, Old Faithful. Anything interesting?" Miller asked, reaching the bridge and settling into his worn captain's chair. The bridge crew, just 6 people instead of the usual 12 on newer ships, worked quietly at their stations. Just the usual space dust and Old Faithful stopped mid-sentence. "Captain, detecting unusual energy readings at the edge of our sensor range." Miller sat up straighter. "Show me." The main screen lit up with data. What he saw made him frown. "Those patterns, they're not natural, and definitely not human." He turned to his sensor officer. "Tom, what do you think?" Lieutenant Tom Parker, young but sharp, studied the readings. "Sir, these energy signatures are massive. If these are ships, they're bigger than anything in our fleet." "Captain," Old Faithful's voice carried a hint of concern. "Based on their trajectory, they're heading straight for the Weber colony. We're the only military ship within response range." Miller looked at his crew. The Victory was old, undercrewed, and outgunned even by modern human ships. If these were alien vessels, they were probably even more advanced. But Weber colony had 10,000 civilians, and the Victory was their only hope. "How long until they reach Weber colony?" Miller asked. "At their current speed, 18 hours, Old Faithful replied. Miller nodded slowly. "And how long until any reinforcements could arrive?" 22 hours at best, sir." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. If these were hostile aliens, the Victory would have to face them alone. "Well," Miller said, standing up, "we didn't survive 30 years of service by running away when things got tough." He pressed the ship-wide comm button. "All hands, this is the captain. We've detected possible first contact scenarios ahead. Battle stations. This might be our last patrol, but by God, we'll make it one to remember." As red alert klaxons began to sound, Miller watched his crew snap into action. The Victory might be old, but her spirit was strong. Like an ancient warrior facing a new enemy, she prepared for battle, her worn hull gleaming dully in the light of distant stars. Whatever was coming, they would face it as they had faced everything else, with courage, skill, and the stubborn determination that had kept both ship and crew alive through 3 decades of service to humanity. SS Victory maintained its position between the oncoming alien fleet and Weber colony. The massive alien ships emerged from light speed, their crystalline hulls shimmering with colors humans had never seen before. Captain Miller counted 12 ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest space station. "Old Faithful, open all communication channels," Miller ordered, his hands gripping his chair's armrests. "Let's try talking first." The alien ships arranged themselves in a perfect geometric formation. Their hulls pulsed with light, creating patterns that seemed almost hypnotic. The Victory sensors struggled to analyze their technology. It was like comparing stone tools to quantum computers. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Tom announced. "It's different from anything we've seen." The main screen flickered to life, showing a being that looked like living crystal. Its voice translated through the ship's computers, carrying a tone of absolute superiority. "Primitive vessel, I am Ambassador Prime of the Crystalline Dominion. Your presence offends us. Your technology is crude, Your existence is inefficient. Surrender your colony for absorption into our perfect society. Miller stood up, straightening his uniform. This is Captain James Miller of the human spaceship Victory. We welcome peaceful contact, but we will not surrender. Weber Colony is under our protection. The crystalline being made a sound like breaking glass, perhaps laughter. Protection. Your vessel belongs in a museum. Our smallest ship carries enough power to reshape planets. Your weapons are toys compared to our technology. Ambassador, Miller tried again. Surely we can. We do not negotiate with lesser beings. Ambassador Prime interrupted. Your continued existence is illogical. You will be eliminated, and your resources will serve a greater purpose. Before Miller could respond, the alien ships began moving. Their perfect formation shifted like a dance of light, weapons charging with energy that made the Victory sensors scream warnings. All hands, brace for combat, Miller shouted. Old Faithful, activate all defensive systems. The first alien blast hit like a small sun, making the Victory's old shields groan. But they held, barely. The ship's aged metal hull creaked under stress. It was never designed to handle. Sir, their weapons. Tom's voice shook slightly. The energy readings are off the charts. Miller watched the alien ships move with perfect precision, their formation flawless. Too flawless, too predictable. They fight like machines, he muttered. Then louder, Old Faithful, remember those old naval combat maneuvers we practiced? The ones from Earth's Second World War. Of course, Captain. Though I fail to see how obsolete tactics. Sometimes the old ways work best, Miller smiled grimly. They expect us to fight like a modern ship. So let's show them how humans fought before computers did all the thinking. As another energy blast rocked the ship, Miller gave his orders. The Victory, this ancient warrior of human space, began to move. Not with the precision of modern ships, but with the unpredictable grace of vessels that once sailed Earth's oceans. The battle for Weber Colony was about to begin, and humanity's oldest active warship would remind the galaxy why humans never stopped being dangerous. The Victory shuddered as another alien blast slammed into its shields. Inside the bridge, warning lights flashed everywhere, but Captain Miller smiled. He'd noticed something interesting. The alien ships, for all their power, followed the same attack patterns over and over. Old Faithful, what's the shield status? Miller asked, watching the crystalline ships move in their perfect formation. Shields at 43%, Captain. But I've noticed something unusual. Their weapons are extremely powerful, but they're predictable, Miller finished. Like they're following a rule book that never changed. Tom, are those old rail guns still working? Lieutenant Tom looked surprised. The rail guns, sir, but they're just backup weapons. They're not even energy-based. Exactly, Miller grinned. Old Faithful, target the nearest alien ship with rail gun battery 2. Let's see how their fancy shields handle some good old-fashioned tungsten slugs. The Victory's ancient rail guns roared to life, launching metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The alien ship didn't even try to dodge. Why should it fear such primitive weapons? But when the slugs hit their shields, something unexpected happened. The primitive projectiles passed right through, slamming into their crystalline hull. The alien ship's perfect surface cracked. Their communication channels erupted with surprised chatter. Just as I thought, Miller said. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and plasma. They never expected anyone to use physical projectiles anymore. Old Faithful, load the nuclear torpedoes. Nuclear torpedoes? Tom asked. But sir, those haven't been used in combat for 50 years. And that's exactly why they'll work. Sometimes, the old ways are the best ways. Miller watched as the alien fleet scrambled to adjust their tactics. Launch torpedoes, spread pattern delta. The Victory's torpedo tubes, considered obsolete by modern standards, launched their payload. The alien ships, their computers still trying to analyze this primitive threat, failed to react in time. 3 nuclear explosions lit up space, temporarily blinding their sophisticated sensors. Direct hits. Tom shouted. Their formation is breaking. Miller nodded grimly. The Victory might be old, but she had something these aliens didn't understand. Experience. Every dent in her hull, every patch in her armor, every update to Old Faithful's programming represented lessons learned the hard way. Send a message to Ambassador Prime, Miller ordered. Tell him that experience beats fancy technology every time. The alien ships tried to regroup, but their perfect formation was shattered. Their sensors, calibrated for detecting advanced energy weapons, struggled to track the Victory's primitive arsenal. What they saw as outdated technology was becoming their worst nightmare. The old ship and her veteran crew were teaching these advanced aliens a lesson. Never underestimate human ingenuity, and never assume that newer always means better. As another spread of rail gunfire struck true, Miller realized they might just survive this fight after all. The Victory's bridge was filled with smoke. Emergency repairs rang through the old ship's corridors as crew members fought to keep their systems running. But Captain Miller noticed something odd about the alien attacks. They were becoming less effective, not more. Old Faithful, Miller called out, ducking as sparks flew from a damaged console. You've been unusually quiet. What are you thinking? The AI's voice came through with a hint of excitement. Captain, I've been analyzing their attack patterns. Their AI systems are simple. Simple? Tom asked, looking up from his damaged sensor station. They're the most advanced ships we've ever seen. Advanced doesn't mean smart, Old Faithful replied. Their AI thinks in straight lines. Perfect, logical, predictable lines. But I've had 30 years to learn, to adapt, to make mistakes, and grow from them. They haven't. Miller understood immediately. Modern AIs, both human and alien, were programmed to be perfect from the start. But Old Faithful had evolved, learning from decades of real combat experience. Like its human crew, it had learned that perfect plans rarely survive real battles. Show me what you mean, Miller ordered. The main screen displayed a tactical analysis. The alien ship's movements, while incredibly fast and powerful, followed rigid mathematical patterns. They never improvised, never adapted. Their responses were always optimal, and therefore predictable. Their ships are like new recruits with fancy equipment, Miller said. All theory, no practice. Old Faithful, can you predict their next move? Already done, Captain. They'll try to surround us in exactly 47 seconds, using their standard containment pattern. Miller grinned. Perfect. Load the rail guns with chaff rounds. When they surround us, fire in a spiral pattern. Let's confuse those fancy sensors of theirs. The alien ships moved exactly as Old Faithful predicted. When the Victory launched its chaff rounds, thousands of metal fragments scattered in space, creating a cloud of confusion. The aliens' advanced sensors, trying to track every piece, overloaded themselves. Their targeting systems are failing, Tom reported with amazement. They can't lock onto us through the chaff. The Victory's crew watched as the mighty alien fleet struggled with this simple countermeasure. Their perfect formation became their weakness. When one ship moved to avoid the chaff, it forced others to break formation to avoid collision. Sometimes, Miller said, watching the chaos unfold, the smartest computer is the one that knows it isn't perfect. Old Faithful, show these youngsters what 30 years of experience looks like. The old ship moved with surprising grace, its aging engines pushing it through the gaps in the alien formation. Its rail guns and torpedoes struck with practiced precision, guided by an AI that had learned to think like a human, unpredictably, creatively, and with the wisdom that only comes from experience. 3 hours into the battle, the situation had changed dramatically. The Victory's hull was scared and burning in places, but 4 alien ships now drifted as lifeless wrecks in space. The remaining alien vessels had lost their perfect formation, forced to fight in ways their advanced computers had never predicted. Captain, Tom called out, his voice tired but excited. "The alien ships are falling back. They're trying to regroup." Miller studied the tactical display. The alien fleet's perfect geometric patterns were gone, replaced by awkward, hesitant movements. For the first time, they looked uncertain. "Old Faithful," Miller asked, "what's our weapon status?" "Rail guns at 30% ammo capacity. 5 nuclear torpedoes remaining. But Captain, I've discovered something fascinating in their communication patterns." The main screen displayed intercepted alien transmissions. Their perfect, logical language was breaking down, showing signs of something the crystalline Dominion had probably never experienced before. Fear. They're scared, Miller realized. They've never failed before, never lost ships, never faced an enemy they couldn't overwhelm with pure technology. He turned to his crew. "And that fear is our greatest weapon." The Victory's engines roared as Miller ordered a bold maneuver. Instead of staying defensive, they charged straight at the alien fleet. It was exactly what the aliens' combat algorithms said no sane enemy would do. And that's why it worked. "Launch torpedoes, maximum spread," Miller commanded. "Then cut engines and rotate ship." The nuclear weapons streaked through space. The alien ships, their formations broken, scattered in panic. As they dodged the torpedoes, the Victory spun around, its rail guns blazing from new angles. More crystalline hulls cracked under the assault. "Ambassador Prime is sending a message," Tom announced, surprise in his voice. The crystalline being appeared on screen, its perfect form showing signs of damage. "This is impossible. You cannot defeat us. Your technology is inferior. Your ship is obsolete." Miller stood tall, despite the smoke and damage around him. "That's where you're wrong, Ambassador. We're not winning because of technology. We're winning because we know something you don't. Failure teaches more than success ever could." As if to prove his point, Old Faithful detected a critical weakness. "Captain, their ship's power cores become unstable when their formations break. They were designed to work together, sharing energy in their perfect patterns. Apart, they're vulnerable. Target their power cores," Miller ordered. "All remaining rail guns, fire when ready." The Victory's ancient weapons struck true. Another alien ship's crystalline hull shattered, its power core overloading in a spectacular explosion. The remaining ships, their perfect strategy in ruins, began retreating in disorder. "They're running," someone shouted from the back of the bridge. Miller shook his head. "Not running. Regrouping. They'll be back, and next time they'll try to adapt. But that's okay. Adaptation is what humans do best." The Victory's crew cheered as the alien ships disappeared into light speed. They had won this round, not through superior technology, but through experience, adaptability, and the countless lessons learned from past failures. "Old Faithful," Miller said quietly, "send a message to Weber Colony. Tell them they're safe for now, but we'll need reinforcements. And add something else. Tell them that humanity just taught the galaxy's most advanced civilization its first lesson in humility." The alien fleet returned after 2 hours, just as Miller had predicted. But this time, they brought their remaining ships to bear with a new strategy. 7 crystalline vessels, their hulls pulsing with angry red energy, emerged from light speed in an attack formation. "They're adapting," Miller observed, watching their approach. "But so are we. Old Faithful, how many mining charges do we have in the cargo hold?" 17 charges remaining, Captain, normally used for asteroid mining operations." The Victory was badly damaged. Hull breaches on 3 decks have been sealed with emergency force field patches. The rail guns were down to their last rounds, and only 3 nuclear torpedoes remained. But Miller had one last trick up his sleeve. "See that asteroid field?" Miller pointed to a dense cluster of rocks floating nearby. "That's where we'll make our stand. Tom, plot a course through the densest part." "Sir." Tom looked concerned. "Our navigation shields are at 15%. One good hit from an asteroid that size could crack us open." Miller smiled. Then we better not get hit. Old Faithful, you've got 30 years of experience flying this ship. Think you can thread that needle? It will be challenging, Captain. But as you humans say, nothing worth doing is ever easy. The Victory turned toward the asteroid field, its engines leaving a trail of plasma leaks. The alien fleet followed, their superior ships easily keeping pace. But that's exactly what Miller wanted. Deploy mining charges, Miller ordered. Set them to proximity detonation. Let's turn this asteroid field into a shooting gallery. As the Victory weaved through the massive rocks, crew members manually launched mining charges, letting them drift among the asteroids. The alien ships, their advanced sensors focused on tracking the Victory, didn't notice these simple explosive devices. They're entering the field, Tom reported. 5,000 meters and closing. Miller watched the tactical display, counting down in his head. The alien ships moved with more caution now, but their arrogance was still their weakness. They still believed their technology made them invincible. Detonate the charges, Miller commanded. All of them. The asteroid field erupted into chaos. The mining charges, designed to break up massive rocks, exploded in sequence. Chunks of asteroid turned into deadly projectiles, slamming into the alien ship shields. Their perfect formation broke apart as they tried to dodge the debris. Their sensors are overloading, Tom shouted. All that dust and radiation. They can't get a clean lock on us. The Victory, guided by Old Faithful's experienced programming, danced through the chaos like an old sailor navigating a storm. When the dust cleared, 3 more alien ships had been crushed by asteroid impacts, their sophisticated shields useless against the simple physics of massive rocks. Main guns, target the nearest ship, Miller ordered. Fire everything we have left. The Victory's remaining weapons roared one last time. Railgun slugs and nuclear torpedoes streaked through space, striking alien ships already damaged by asteroid impacts. 2 more crystalline vessels shattered, their hulls breaking apart in the vacuum of space. The last alien ship, perhaps finally learning the lesson of humility, turned and fled. The Victory's crew erupted in cheers, but Miller remained focused. They had won, but at a heavy cost. Damage report, he called out. Hull integrity at 23%. Life support stable but strained. Weapons almost completely depleted. Tom paused. Sir, we shouldn't have survived that. By all logical calculations, it was impossible. Miller looked around his bridge, at the damaged consoles and exhausted crew. Logic doesn't win battles, Lieutenant. Heart does, and this old ship has the biggest heart in the fleet. The Victory limped out of the asteroid field, its ancient hull bearing new scars but still holding together. Sometimes, Miller thought, the greatest victories came not from having the best technology, but from having the wisdom to use what you had in ways your enemy never expected. 1 month after the Battle of Weber Colony, the HSS Victory sat in orbit around Earth. Her hull, still bearing the scars of combat, gleamed in the sunlight. But instead of being scrapped as originally planned, she was being repaired and upgraded. Captain Miller stood at the observation deck, watching repair crews work on his ship. Behind him, footsteps approached. The fleet admiral himself had come to deliver news. The Crystalline Dominion sent a message, the admiral said, standing beside Miller. They want to open diplomatic relations. Seems your old ship taught them something valuable. Miller nodded, watching a repair drone fix a massive gash in the Victory's hull. What did they say exactly? They said they've spent 10,000 years perfecting their technology. But in one battle, they learned more about warfare than in all that time. The admiral chuckled. They're particularly interested in studying what they call our primitive but highly effective combat techniques. Through the window, Miller could see Old Faithful directing the repair efforts, the AI's experience helping integrate new technology with the old systems. The Victory would keep her rail guns and nuclear torpedoes. They had earned their place alongside more modern weapons. The crew's been asking about their next assignment, Miller said. They heard rumors about retirement being canceled. The Admiral smiled. The Victory's going to become a training ship. Every new AI in the fleet will spend time learning from Old Faithful. Every hotshot captain will serve a rotation here, learning that sometimes the old ways are still the best ways. In the ship's docking bay, a group of alien representatives had arrived. They walked around the Victory with a mixture of respect and curiosity, their crystalline forms reflecting the bay's lights. They stopped to examine the rail gun batteries that had proved so effective against their advanced shields. "You know what the best part is?" Miller asked, watching the aliens. "They're learning. Already, reports say they're starting to experiment with physical projectile weapons. They're studying old Earth naval tactics. They're teaching their AIs to think creatively instead of just following patterns. And that's the real victory," the Admiral nodded. "You didn't just save Weber Colony. You taught one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy that there's more to warfare, more to existence, than just having the best technology." Old Faithful's voice came over the speaker. "Captain, the repair crews have finished the primary hull work. Would you like to inspect their progress?" Miller smiled. The AI's voice showed pride. Another thing the aliens were learning to understand. In a moment, Old Faithful, just enjoying the view. The Victory would continue serving, not just as a warship, but as a reminder. A reminder that humanity's strength lay not in having the most advanced technology, but in their ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to learn from every victory and defeat. As the sun set over Earth, the old ship's hull glowed golden. She had started her last patrol as an obsolete vessel destined for retirement. She ended it as a legend, a teacher, and a symbol of humanity's greatest strengths: determination, adaptability, and the wisdom that comes only through experience. The crystalline Dominion had come looking for an easy conquest. Instead, they found a lesson that would reshape their civilization. And in orbit around Earth, an old ship and her veteran crew had proved once again that in the vast darkness of space, the most powerful weapon wasn't technology. It was the indomitable spirit of humanity.